Hello everyone and welcome to the last part, part 3 in section 1.2. And then now in this section, how in the previous section we were just talking about circles. In this section, in this part of the other section, we're going to be talking about symmetry. Usually when we talk about symmetry, there can be a lot of things in terms of symmetry. Usually we focus on symmetry to try to make our lives easier when we're trying to figure out if there's some type of reflection upon a different axis. Usually, we always see something along the lines of a dot, dot, dot. Usually, it'll just be a sentence about the function. And then they'll say, with respect to another dot, 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 which those three dots at the end mean either with respect to the x-axis, the y-axis, or the origin. So usually when it comes to symmetry, we always try to figure out how we could kind of base the function in terms of like how we're able to reflect it with respect to one of these three, the x, the y, or the origin. So on the next page here, I have a concrete way of kind of putting them differently in terms of how do we figure that out. So usually, here, let me zoom in. So for the first one, when we have with respect to the x-axis, usually what that entails is that we replace the y by negative y, or vice versa. If you start off with a negative y, you would just replace that with a positive y, because we are here dealing with respect to the x-axis. So in this one, we do have a graph to show that. You know how we were saying that we replaced the y by negative 1? So let's say that you have a point up here, right, x and y, and you're trying to have the symmetry with respect to the x-axis. So now instead of that being a positive y, you're going to reflect that, and you're going to now have a negative y, which is why when you're talking about respect to the x-axis, you're only dealing with the y's, the y signs, from a positive y to a negative y, or vice versa, from a negative y to a positive y. Now for the second one, if we have with respect to the y-axis, right? So now for every x, you're going to replace that to a negative x. And here on the graph, we have, let's say that you start off with a positive x, right? So right here. So what you're doing is that you're reflecting it, and now you're going to have a negative x, but you're still going to keep that positive y, because the only thing that changes is your x when it's respect to your y-axis, if it tells you that. And then for the last one, with respect to the origin, and what you're doing for this one is that you're replacing x by negative x and y by negative y, or vice versa. If you say, let's say you start with a negative x, then you replace it to a positive x, and let's say that you start off with a negative y, then you'll just replace that to a positive y. So here, let's say that you start off with a positive x and y, and you're trying to reflect that in respect to the origin. What you're doing is you're taking that reflection, and now you're changing both signs to both x and y. So now you have a negative x and a negative y, which is why that only pertains to the respect in the origin. So these are the three different areas you would usually see in your math courses when you're trying to figure out a symmetry in that function, either with respect to your x-axis, your y-axis, or the origin. Is one or the other. There isn't much detailed problems to go over for this one, because this one, it's just a matter of what you're dealing with, meaning what the book asks you to do or what the teacher, the professor is asking you to figure out. But what I'm trying to do is kind of tell you what signs to change if it's asking you one of those three, your x-axis, your y, or your origin, with respect to it, of course. Now, this will end and this will conclude 1.2 symmetry. So we went over part of quadratics, symmetry, and circles. So now for the next session on the next upcoming videos, we're going to be talking about 1.3 lines. There's a lot of good thing about lines usually because we do this a lot actually in the course of algebra. We're going to be talking about the point slope form, the slope intercept form, the general standard form. And I put these three dots just to kind of let you know that there's still more things to talk about in this section in 1.3, which would be on the next video, which would be on the following week. This week was just 1.2. try to figure out those sections, and then we'll go over 1.3 on lines. So please, if you really enjoyed the video, please give it a like. I think the likes just kind of help it, because this is algorithm on YouTube that if people press like more, then it'll reach out to more audience. So, you know, if you like the video, please, that'd be great. And if you're not subscribed yet, I highly recommend you do it, because there'll be new and upcoming videos about algebra. And the next topic we're going to be talking about would be 1.3 inlines in the next video. So I hope this was a helpful video about symmetry. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.